November 21, 2022. If we would please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge. Lots of things going on right now, and we're all here together. Sometimes a moment of silence together really does make a difference. Think about those different items we need to work on. Now our pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Start our meeting today. We have Cindy Treble with us from the Director of the Assessment Office. Thank you. Corrections to the duplicates, Cindy.
Additions of 181,140 and subtractions of 266,600 for a minus 85.
Motion to accept.
We have a motion to accept.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Public comment, agenda items only. Off the meeting. Okay, moving on to old business. Your motion to approve the minutes of the 9/7/2022 Commissioners meeting.
I make that motion.
I'll second it.
Second, questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Proclamations and certificates. We have 3 today. Domestic Violence Awareness Month. That will be given out at the program. And do you have the October date?
I believe it's October.
14th. Thank you. Do you know where that's at?
Courthouse.
Courthouse Square. So October 14th, there'll be more information getting out about that candlelight vigil. And we will be reading that. We're going to approve the proclamation, but we will be reading it that night. We have Vaughn Michael Alopi, Eagle Scout. We wish him well and have that to be awarded today. And then Operations Green Light for Veterans. After we approve it, then I would like to present it to our director, Lisa McKay. Lisa, stand up for a second. You'll be with us to accept this for the veterans of Monroe County. So do I hear a motion to the proclamation certificates read?
I move the acceptance of same.
Second.
Any questions? Dr. West, like to say?
And then he also was CEO of Cablevision as well, and obviously has been running charter.
Hearing none.
Last.
None. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, I think Martin's a little discussion. Okay. All right, this time then, Lisa, want to come up and probably present this to you? I'd like to recognize, is there anybody, please raise your hand if there's any, is there anybody here that's a veteran? Yeah, so I'd like to recognize you all as well as we read this proclamation, and thank you for your service. Operation Green Light for Veterans. Whereas the residents of Monroe County have great respect, admiration, and the utmost gratitude for all of the men and women who have selflessly served our country and this community in the armed forces. And whereas the contributions and sacrifices of the men and women who served in the armed forces have been vital in maintaining the freedoms and way of life enjoyed by our citizens. And whereas Monroe County seeks to honor these individuals who have paid the high price for freedom by placing themselves in harm's way for the good of all. And whereas veterans continue to serve our community in the American Legion, veterans of foreign wars, religious groups, civil service, and by functioning as county veteran service officers. And whereas approximately 200 service members transition to civilian communities annually, and whereas an estimated 20% increase of service members will transition to civilian life in the near future, and whereas studies indicate that many military service members experience high levels of stress during transition from military to civilian life, and whereas active military service members transitioning from military service are at a high risk for suicide during their first year after military service, and whereas the National Association of Counties encourages all counties, parishes, and boroughs to recognize Operation Greenlight for veterans, and whereas Monroe County appreciates the sacrifices of our United States military personnel and believes specific recognition should be granted, therefore be it resolved with designation as a green light for Veteran County, Monroe County hereby declares from October through Veterans Day, November 11th, 2022, a time to salute and honor the service and sacrifice of our men and women in uniform, transitioning from active service. Therefore, be it further resolved that in observance of Operation Greenlight, Monroe County encourages its citizens to recognize the importance of honoring all those who made immeasurable sacrifices to preserve freedom by displaying a green light in a window of their place of business or residence. Thank you very much, those that participate as our county director. Okay, moving on to new business. Personnel. Number one, personnel. We have those of you, there are agendas over on the table are right there in front. So, motion to approve the actions listed in number one, items A and B.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number two, electronic financial transactions ratified. We have a motion to, I hear a motion to approve the actions listed in number two, financial transactions, items A, B, and C.
So moved.
Second.
We have a first, we have a second. Any questions? Discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on to number three, travel authorizations. Do I hear a motion to approve the actions listed under travel authorizations, number three, item A?
So moved.
Second.
We have a first, we have a second. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number four, Monroe County Area Agency on Aging. Do I hear a motion to approve the actions listed in number four under the Monroe County Area Agency on Aging, item A?
So moved.
Second.
First and second, any questions? Discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number five, under Monroe County Children and Youth Services. Do I hear a motion to approve the actions listed in number five under Monroe County Children and Youth Services, items A through E?
So moved.
Second.
We have first and second, any discussion or questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, number six, the Commissioner's Office. Do I hear a motion to approve the actions listed in number six under the Commissioner's Office, items A through L?
So moved.
I'll second that.
We have a first and we have a second. Do we have discussion on any of those areas?
I'd like to point out item E. Item E is the purchase of a piece of equipment from Runback. And what that does is it scans ballots as it comes in. It weighs them, makes sure that it's the correct weight. It scans it, puts that information directly into the Sure system, so people will be, if you sign up for an email, it will send you the email stating that your ballot has arrived. That's $234,000 comes out of what we get from the state. It's approximately $585,000 a year from the state for secure elections. We also have a HAVA grant, which is a federal grant for 14, of which we're $14,229.19, and that is for the purchase of computers. That's, like I said, a federal grant. It's the difference between the feds and the state.
Okay, anything else? Any other further discussion? Thank you for the clarification. Appreciate it. Christine. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Number 7. Monroe County Career Link. Motion to approve the actions listed in number 7, Monroe County Career Link, item A.
So moved.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? Hearing none, seeing all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 8, Monroe County Housing Authority. Motion to approve the actions listed in number 8, Monroe County Housing Authority. Do we have a first?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
First and second, any discussion?
I'd like to thank Pastor Keepers with the Wesleyan Church. The Wesleyan Church has been a very good partner. They have the cold weather shelter for the area. Stepped up to the plate every time they're asked. Pastor Keepers, a big part of that. So I welcome her to the Housing Authority.
First and second discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 9, capital outlay purchases. Do I hear a motion to approve the actions listed in number 9, capital outlay purchases, item A?
So moved.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Number 10. Number 10. Oh, the one was capital, but I said computer. No, you said that. Number 10, motion to approve the actions listed in number 10, computer capital
So moved.
purchases.
Second.
First and second, any discussion, questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, any miscellaneous? Okay, hearing no miscellaneous, any public comment?
Do you sit or stand or?
Whichever you're most comfortable with.
Um,
You might want to say who you,
A pirouette or two.
you might want to say who you are.
I can't see that. So I'm Tara Probst, the mayor of Strasburg Borough and a resident of Thomas Street. A week ago, I found out that the Ramsey School was going to be used for probation. Now, for the last year and a half, I've been told, oh, it's county, it's the county, it's county administration, it's county this, it's county that. They're sinking $1.3 million into the school. It'd be wonderful to reopen it as a school when they're out. It's only 11 months. It's a win-win situation. A week ago, because of a resident told me that it was going to be probation. And I'm like, that may have never came across a borough council's desk, borough council minutes, mayor's desk, mayor email, nothing. So whoever says that Tara Probst or borough council knew, they're lying, number one. There should never be probation where there is a playground for kids smack dab in the middle of a residential district. The county owns 701 Main Street. They took that from us, eminent domain, years ago. DA's office is in there. Don't you think probation would maybe be better served there where they already have security and those type of things? Let it be in the downtown district, not a residential district. Megan's Law offenders, sexual offenders, and I understand that people are trying to better their lives with drugs and alcohol, and I support that. However, they're going to be outside loitering in a residential neighborhood with a bunch of kids in a playground. I want to know whose brilliant idea at the county who thought it was even remotely okay to put probation at an elementary school smack dab in the middle of a residential district. So I want to know when, who, why we weren't privy to it, because we're outraged. It was poor planning and it was not transparent. They purposely, I am in the know of everything. I didn't even know about this. And I think it's sad. I think if a resident and a business owner can put an injunction because of a telephone pole going up in front of their business, a dentist on 6th Street, I think that the borough of Stroudsburg and Tom Street should have a right to put an injunction not to have probation there. There's many other businesses and many other functions of the county that can go in Ramsey. But my God, to think whoever put this together and thought it was even remotely okay should be ashamed of themselves. And I'm glad there's elections next year for you guys. Thank you.
We have been forthright in talking about this every time we have made applications. We made applications to the school district.
Zoning is not us. Remember
I
that.
understand. I have-
Wait a second. We're going to follow some, I think, rules of maybe respectfulness, and we're not going to cut a person off while they're talking unless there's something inappropriate.
Okay.
Let's just not, by that I mean cursing or something. Go ahead, John.
We have always said, because when we looked at the project, that we were able to take time off of it, and it saved us, the county, and thus taxpayers, money to reduce the time of construction. And the last two areas of the construction phases are in the original courthouse, which house domestic relations and probation. We have always said that it was domestic relations and probation because those are the only two offices that can be moved as we do go through our sequences. We do not have enough room at 701 Main to move domestic relations and probation. We went to the school district, and I have been in front of council talking about this project for a while. But we went to the school district, we put our application into the school district, stating that it was both domestic relations and probation. The school board approved it, and we went for zoning, which is an allowable use for that to the borough. So we have put up a fence so that the playgrounds can still be used, because that was a big concern, that the playground would still be accessible. So that's what we put up, so that there's two entrances to the playground, keeping all that, as we said, the people can still utilize the playground.
And the playground will be overseen and
Which is the responsibility of the school district.
district. Correct. Okay. The other thing that I'd like to mention before I'll let you respond. What I saw, and Commissioner Christie is correct, went through zoning. The paperwork that was given to zoning has written right on it, probation and domestic relations. I saw that. I never in a million years would have thought that zoning would not be communicating with the borough and the borough council. That's going to have to be a learning curve for me, that they are not telling the borough and the borough council exactly, or sharing the information with them so they visually could have seen that. So obviously they need to work together a little bit better in that respect to make sure that people know, because I have to apologize. I would have thought that that would have happened.
Well, I just do want to say that Commissioner Christie, you never came in front of council and said probation, ever. Let's be clear on the record, ever.
I'll have to go back to.
You never did. I missed one meeting last night, only meeting I've ever missed, because I don't miss meetings. I had a prior engagement. I was livid. I couldn't be there last night on the one time. You've never done that. And I just think that it is your responsibility as the county to come in to the borough council and tell them your intentions, not just the rumor going around town. It's courthouse administration, courthouse administration. That's a big difference from probation. And you have little kids, you have families that are outraged, and I don't blame them. And I just think that because it's better for you and quicker construction and this and that, as you said, you're not doing anybody a favor in an R2 zone, putting probation there. There's other things you could have done. Why didn't you guys go move your offices over there and put probation in this building? How about that?
Again,
It's a half a block. This is we're walking a fine line. It's a half a block from the R2 zone, from this building. From what I did a little research with you, you shared that with me, because of where the line is for the R2 zone. So, and I think, and thinking about how we're going to move forward with this, we do care about the people in Stroudsburg. We do care about the people in Monroe, and it's not just our residents in Stroudsburg. It's all of Monroe County that's being affected by the courthouse and the expansion. Before I was elected, I know a lot of thought went into, do we expand the courthouse or do we move it? Do we go to the center of the county? You did have discussions
But you
about that.
can't do that.
We did have discussions about that. We did have discussions about it. And it was not, the best alternative would be to keep it right where it is. It's a historical building, maintain it, do the best thing for the residents of Monroe County and the borough and the borough. So,
But going forward, you can't just move the county seat. So you guys can have all the discussions you want. You don't just say we're moving our county seat. So when I hear that logic, it's just, that's apples and oranges. We're dealing with what we're dealing with right now. It was not transparent. You never came to council. We never had one thing across our desk. We have council here. Everyone will say the same thing. We have email transmissions. You were not transparent. You were not thinking about the residents and the kids and a playground. You were only thinking about yourselves, and you should be embarrassed. And this town is outraged about it. You have other places you can put probation, and you can move another office into Ramsey.
thank you.
Dave Kidwell, I live on Scott Street in Stroudsburg. I just found out a couple of days ago about the plan to move probation, parole, and domestic relations to the school just across the street from my house. I was as shocked as anybody. I do wonder how it happened. There was not a discussion to move another office from here, maybe this building or this room or your office in Boulder, or and then put domestic relations and probation parole here. And also, I asked Commissioner Christian last night at the meeting, how many parolees will be coming through each day? He said approximately 20. He didn't have the number in front of him. I mean, if you guys know how many people are going to be coming through the neighborhood, reporting to the parole officer, trying to stay out of jail, doing what they legally have to do to stay out of jail and prison. So I was wondering if you have those numbers.
I don't have that number just yet.
Okay, and has anybody ever told you how many parolees will be coming through every day?
There's not a specific number. I did talk to the director yesterday briefly when I was able to meet with him. And the one thing that he made very clear is folks that are they're reporting to parole don't want to mess up. They don't want to mess up because they don't want to be back incarcerated or back maintained of being in their home. They won't. It's just, and he was very open about that.
I mean, they messed up in the first place, so that's why they're on parole. And
Yes,
if they
that's
don't
correct.
follow their parole rules, then they go back to either county jail or state prison.
They don't wanna
Oftentimes
do
a
that.
DUI.
Yeah.
Have active bracelets.
In our playground, can you have Megan's Law's offenders within 2,000 feet? Does anybody know? I know you can't from the school, but if it's not a school, is that the workaround? Is that how we're going to have sex offenders coming through the neighborhood because it's not a school playground? Or are you going to end up closing the playground as soon as one sex offender shows up and one of us reports that they came to the parole officer? Is the playground just going to be closed? Is that kind of the plan?
The playground's run by the school district.
Right.
So you'd have to speak to them about that.
Well, can you have sex offenders within 2,000 feet of a school playground? Isn't that a violation of their?
I don't know, we'll have to find that out. That, as I said yesterday, we'll look into that, but
It's getting kind of,
I get, well,
sorry,
all we have to do is close the playground if the school district wants that.
but that's a really, really,
But we wanted to keep the playground because it was essential to the people in the area.
Right.
If that is a problem with Megan's Law, and I don't know how many parole people we have that are facing that, I have a list of questions
okay.
to reach out from last night. So
And I'm just curious, $1.3 million for, is it 10 or 12 months that the plan is to be in that building?
14 months.
14 months.
That's the plan. It all depends on construction schedules, but that was the plan.
And to spend 1.3 million, just
It made it
14 months?
worthwhile. No, because we've lessened our construction schedule everywhere else. Okay? So
Longer would have been more.
I understand.
we
that.
pay about $100,000 a month in general conditions. So just,
Hi, my name is Erica McCabe. I'm Vice President of Borough Council. Nobody's happy about this, obviously. I live across the street. My children walk to and from, they're required to walk to the high school in the Hill District. So we're going to have some teenagers walking to and from within that range while probation is going on. And that's a major concern because there's no busing within a mile of the school district. That's my first issue. Second issue is, what is the intention after you are done with this building? Will it be going back to the school? Will we have Ramsey back? Is that the intention?
it goes back to the school district with the improvements that have been made.
And
That's the agreement.
the third issue is, Commissioner Christie, you discussed safety measures in place that you were putting in. I think it would be helpful to let the audience know what we discussed last night, including
There is a magnetometer that will be there for
a metal detector.
a metal detector that you go through. There'll be 2 bailiffs there, and like I said before, all the probation officers are also armed,
And cameras?
and there are cameras there.
Will there be cameras facing the park specifically?
Again, I said last night that I have to make sure where the camera locations are. If we have to put another camera out there, it will be done.
And nighttime patrols?
The nighttime patrols, for the most part, like I said, the cameras will be fed back to the sheriff's office. I'm sure we can do that, through a remote feed, so that whoever is on security at night. Now, there will also be cleaning people that will be up there after hours, to clean that building. Every day they're there.
How about daytime patrols, specifically when children are getting on and off the bus? Because there's several bus stops in the morning and in the morning from 6:25 a.m. all the way down to, I think, 8:40 is the last bus. And then from 2:15 down to almost 4 o'clock.
I'm sure that the bailiffs we can work that all into their schedules. Like I said, there will be 2 of them there.
I think having a plan up front and in writing with these promises would be best for everyone, including the borough.
Okay.
And is there any repercussion if you don't do it? Or are we, where we're at here today, too bad?
I don't think we're at too bad.
We are for if you're a resident in arts
No,
using.
No, I
Yeah.
think if we work together it may not be perfect, but work together to get security in place for it, that would be a big help.
I want to say, my name's Tyrone Wright. Sexual offenders, is there any way that they can be prevented from going there? Can they go somewhere else?
That's where the office is for. Like I said, we'll have to talk to probation,
Yeah.
but I don't know how many sexual Megan's Law people we have on probation. It's a question
I
that,
work at the jail and you have plenty, and you have repeat sexual offenders that come back to the jail. So I think that's a
they're not
major
out on
concern.
parole though.
They leave and they come back when they violate. And we don't want to give them the opportunity to violate while these kids are having fun at a playground.
And walking around neighborhoods and snooping and figuring out what's next.
Camera's not gonna stop anybody.
Exactly.
Now, folks, that's
to have another person in
To touch on what the mayor said, asking about 701 Main, Commissioner Christie just said there's not enough space to put domestic relations and probation and parole over there. Why would the option not be just to put probation and parole over there? I'm sure there's enough space just for that. To touch on what you said about people being on parole, not wanting to get in trouble, I work at the jail. All of us work at the jail. Our recidivism rate for sex offenders is probably close to 90%. Every sex offender we see comes in, they progress through how violent their sex offenses get. Start off with child porn, then they start touching kids, then they start having sex with kids. It is a progression, and it's about 90%. So 90% of every sex offender you have by that playground is going to repeat offend at some point in time. And you're putting them within feet of children. Why would the option not be just to move just that office to 701 Main? And then put domestic relations over there? Because it's a totally viable option.
You can't get it back to the
If I can move on to jail business now. As you see,
You may.
there's a lot more of us here this week. We keep saying more and more and more of us are going to show up. Last week, we got no questions answered. 2 weeks before that, no questions answered. 2 weeks before that, no questions answered. We're still sitting here. This is not going away. These issues are not getting better. I brought up a weapon missing in the jail 2 weeks ago. What do you guys know about that weapon in the jail today, to this point? What has been done about that weapon missing in the jail?
There were searches done. It was a scraper, if I'm not mistaken.
It was a flat top chopper that was sharpened, that we were warned if you touch it, it's sharp enough to slice your finger. It's a 6-inch piece of metal chopper.
And there have been searches that have been done.
Okay, I will inform you, 1 out of 11 units was searched for that weapon. I participated in those searches. There are other people sitting here that participated in those searches. 1 out of 11 units was searched for a weapon in the jail. Do you believe that is sufficient and that Gary Heidel is fulfilling his promise of the safety and security of every one of us sitting here today with 1 out of 11 units being searched? Do you believe he's fulfilling that obligation?
When I talked to Deputy Warden McCoy, he said that it was more than that,
Again,
1
I
out
keep
of
telling
11.
you, you guys are getting lied to. I don't like the word lie. You guys are getting lied to. We had Officer Cecil Johnson sit here 4 or 6 weeks ago and suggest to you guys, when you guys come to that prison and do your weekly inspection, when the wardens sweep all the dirt under the rug and make it look nice and pretty once a week for you, how about you speak to us a little bit, talk to us, because we'll tell you what's really going on. We're coming here and telling you what's really going on. Nothing's happening. You're going back to them and still being lied to. I'm telling you that on top of a chopper missing from the kitchen, there is a 10-inch bread knife missing now that is not on the shadow board in the kitchen. Nobody in the jail is discussing it. Nobody wants to talk about it. I'll tell you again. This is personally mine. You feel that could be a weapon in a prison? That viable weapon in a prison?
Yes.
It's a yes, right? There's 2 of these missing from the kitchen. Nobody's talking about it. There's no inventory for the knives or the metal things or things like this in the kitchen. Nobody's speaking about it. 2 of them are missing in the jail right now. No big deal. Nobody talks about it. My safety every day I walk in, there's a risk. We're short-staffed. What are we doing to hold these 2 wardens and deputy wardens accountable? Because this comes to you. When I go to work tomorrow and this gets stuck in my neck, it is coming to you. It's your front doorstep it'll be at, not theirs. What are we doing about that? Because 1 unit being searched is not enough. Them lying to you is unethical. It's against the county code of ethics in the manual. What is going to be done about that? Because if I falsify a report or a document at work and lie, I get in trouble. I get written up. I get suspended. I get fired. They're lying to you weekly. You guys are just turning a blind eye like it's nothing. What is going to be done about these weapons missing in the jail? We have a massive drug ring running in the jail right now. There's drugs rampant everywhere. What happens with drugs? Violence increases. Our violence is increasing daily. With short staffing that you guys are doing nothing to fix besides running these truncated classes. Delaware, New Jersey, New York, Virginia, they offer $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 sign-on bonuses. Why are we not doing that? Why are we still charging $200 for people to take a test? We're not doing anything to fix this problem. We're taking it on. What is being done? Because as I said last week, I'm tired of hearing words. I would like to see actions. The actions I'm seeing is every day my safety is getting more and more put at risk when you guys turn a blind eye to it. What steps are going to be taken?
As you know, we have increased our classes, okay? Every chance we have another class, and we, are continuing that process. We're just bringing people in.
Because we hire 10, we hire 12, gets down to 7. By the time they start the 2-week class, it's down to 4 or 5. By the time they graduate, it's 2 or 3, as you know. It's happening every class. And it's a self-perpetuating problem. That 2-week class is not a fix. Because now on second and third shift, you have guys that have been in the building 4 weeks, 6 weeks. They're training guys that have 2 weeks of training. These guys don't know their head from their feet, and they're training people in an environment that is very dangerous. And it's just perpetuating. Cool, 2-week classes, that's what we're doing. What else are we doing?
Excuse me. We have about 20 officers here today. Every time we have this commissioners meeting, it's progressing with officers. You guys are gonna make us have 100 officers here. It's gonna keep growing. We're not going nowhere. We got 20 officers here. We got mothers, we got fathers. We got wives here. These people are concerned. And we're not getting anything done. You guys, I told y'all to the last time I told y'all to reach out to neighboring counties, see what they're doing to alleviate this problem. Obviously, y'all didn't, because they are doing something. They have a method and they get in offices not to call out. There's incentives for them not to call out. Our guys are getting burnt out. We have women. We got more if you need them to come. The next meeting, we're gonna have about 40 here. And then we're gonna go up to 50, and we're gonna keep going till we got 100 people. And then we're gonna see how this facility is gonna run with everybody sitting here instead of doing the job that needs to be done.
This is a visual. This is 25%. This is 25% of our staff. These are great people. These are hardworking people. And these people that are sitting here, this is 25% of our staff. We have 400 inmates that now possibly have weapons. And this is 25% of what's running there. 7 days a week, 365 days a year, missing time with their families, exhausted. We can't do it anymore. 4 weeks I've come to this meeting, and every time I come to this meeting, you're telling us, we're looking at it. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. The numbers aren't improving. We're all hurting. These people are under an enormous amount of pressure, stress, anxiety. We all are. Blood pressure problems, depression. When does it turn into drinking? When does it turn into suicide? What are we doing to our people? 4 weeks ago, you said that we're not just the warden's people. We're your people. These are your people. They work for you. Why are you not doing anything for your people? We can't keep doing this.
I'm Officer Valor, second shift shop steward. I wasn't able to make the last meeting because I was mandated 7 out of 8 days in a row to work doubles. That sounds great for the money, however, your health, your well-being, your family time. I was thinking about trying to avoid being redundant by everything that's been told to you guys week after week after weeks here. But I'm here because I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that maybe you just don't know what's going on. I think maybe you're not being told. Things are getting swept under the rug. You come through, they pass inspections, they mop the floors. Great. I think maybe you're listening to Warden Heidel. I think that all the details are not coming past your desk. I'm hoping that's the case. I hope I'm not wrong. Now, we know the county has the money. The tax rate in Monroe County is 1.67, right? In Pennsylvania, it's 1.35. Nationally, it's 1.1. We know you have a way to the county. The money is not coming past our jail. I don't know where it's going. I'm sure it can be looked into, but it's painful to see that we're running anybody through the program 2 weeks. Like Officer Kubik said, they're on restricted housing units. They don't know, and I can't blame these officers, that these guys have to come out in cuffs and shackles. They have to be secured in the shower. Their trade passes have to be closed. I walked onto a unit and I had an item that was covered in feces and urine thrown at me and struck me and all over the wall. I don't know what was in that, what kind of sickness is. We're running a program where, because of past failures, to properly staff the place or fund it, you tell me. I don't know which one it is, but I'm going to work every day and I understand the job. I get what I need to do. It's beyond egregious what's happening there. You have 20 people here almost. This is not my idea of a good time. You know, I want to take my kids somewhere. I don't want to spend the 5 hours that I have to sleep here. Yet here I am and here we are. I hope you guys can affect some changes, really, because you're going to be in the newspaper for all the wrong reasons. It's coming, trust me.
And Diaz, officer at the facility, as a veteran as well, combat veteran. I was proud that you awarded what you did award. However, I visit the VA hospital in Wilkes-Barre twice a month for my appointments to meet with my counselor, which I've been unable to do so because I get mandated and I've had to change my appointments numerous times because I can't make it to Wilkes-Barre with 16 hours of work under my skin, knowing that I have to return back to that jail the next day. There's 6, 7, 8 officers out now being involved in violent fights, violent situations within that jail. We have to cover for. It's a serious, serious issue going on here. We all need to go see our families. We all need to spend time at home, and I need to make my appointments. As a veteran, I implore you to look into the situation, get some answers.
So what's gonna happen? Also, Paul Mazza. So just to give you an idea how things have not changed in the jail. The last 2 years we've dealt with COVID. For some people, COVID doesn't exist, and for some people, it's going away. Just 2 days ago, we had an inmate come to the jail with COVID positive. Brought to the gate, tested at the gate, had positive COVID, was brought into the jail. Just to be seen an hour later to be released from the jail. We talked about this before. We brought this issue to the tables of the administration there, to you guys, to the president and judge. Why is it that this person even has to come to the jail to put us at risk? Why is it that they just can't give their information and call in via video from home? You obviously know where this person was. They don't have to come to jail. They definitely don't have to come into our building and affect the people that are working in that area, including the inmates that are there. We have COVID in the building again on a unit that's spreading like wildfire. Just last night, we're moving inmates from that section of the building to other parts of the building. So there's nothing is being done, and we haven't learned from our past mistakes to stop the spread. But we don't care because it's not your problem, it's our problem. We have to show up to work. And when we get sick, we've already talked about this, we don't get paid to stay home. If we have a family member that's sick, we're not instructed to stay home. Yeah, you can stay home, use your benefits. That's what we're told. We have an officer on the unit, his wife was positive for COVID. He's instructed to come to work. That is the unit that now has COVID. I'll put it out there. I'm not saying who gave it to him, but there's a good possibility that officer possibly could infect the inmates in the jail. But nothing's done for us. We're just told to go to work. So these are things that keep happening. We're not learning from our mistakes. We're told we're going to look into it. Nothing's going to be looked into. It's got to stop. You guys got to make a change.
I also wanted to add something that I wanted to bring up. We're operating in a system where our contract is being violated a multitude of times every single day on every single shift. We're mandated to work 5 in a week, back to back to back, on our so-called Fridays. As a shop steward, it's my duty to grieve these actions. Every single one of these grievances has been rejected. They are clearly defined in our contract, and the contract is clearly being dismissed and violated on every single account. The answer is, we're breaking your contract. You will be mandated and you will work it. If you don't work these doubles, you will be disciplined up to possibly termination as a result of it. I personally have received these and I grieved it. And within an appropriate period of time, 5 days, I'm supposed to receive an answer back to the deputy warden. I spoke with my fellow second shift shop steward yesterday, who's also working her butt off, excuse my language. So we spoke on a brief break, and she's not getting her grievances back either. They're just simply disappearing. I don't know if you're aware of that, but how far can you violate someone's contract? Are there no limits to this? To what end? You know, so I mean, what is the course of action for the officers who are so exhausted? We don't even talk to each other in staff dining anymore. Where's the camaraderie? Is it being driven out of us to the point where let's just get rid of all these senior professional officers who dedicated themselves to this job, to this duty, to the citizens of this county day after day after day, and let's bring in lower paid people who, you know, we don't have to start paying them pensions anytime soon, run them through a 2-week crash course and throw them to the wolves. Pity for them and pity for us. But if this isn't exposed to you guys, you'll never know. But now you know, and like Officer Kubik said, what are we going to do?
I'd like to ask, I sent all you guys an email after the suicide on mail intake, everyone is. You guys responded, received. First response I've gotten in 2.5 years to any email I've sent you guys. Step in the right direction. At least I get a response now that says received. What's the response to that email? Can I get a response? Because that email asked for the people who performed CPR on a dead guy for 40 minutes to get an award, to get a pin. That's in our policy. I have guys that got bodily fluids in their mouth from the guy who was dead, and they continued to do the job and got mandated after that. And they still haven't received a pin, an award pin. I asked you guys that. Are they getting pins? Are you guys going to direct Gary to give these pins? Because Gary is refusing to give these pins. My second question is, I asked about that unit that the guy committed suicide on, and why we do not have glass and tray passes on those units. Officer Polnassek was just speaking about that unit with the COVID people. Keep asking for policies to be written on that unit. That's our intake unit. Supposed to be male intake guys only, one classification, that's it. We have male intake status on that unit. We have Bravo status, which is administrative segregation because of their violence and their bad behaviors. We have Bravo status, quarantine status because they're contact ISO because they have some type of infectious disease. We have COVID on that unit that is now quarantined. It's a separate classification. We have RHU status, which is the people that have been sentenced in-house jail time because of their bad behaviors. And then we have all the regular male intake status. It's 6 classifications on one unit that there's no policy written for. That it is impossible to run that unit. You had a suicide on that unit because people were acting up and throwing stuff out at the officer. That officer was unable to perform her watches, the 15-minute suicide watches, and that person died. If there was glass and tray passes on the window, the officer would be able to walk around. Officer Polnassek worked that unit himself the other day. It is impossible to conduct these watches. Those watches went 3/4 of the day without being done. That means people on suicide watch are not being watched because that unit is such a crap show. It's not being handled properly by the administration. And we still don't have glass or tray passes on those units with COVID positive people. So I'm asking for a response to an email because all you guys said was received. My second question is, in response to the COVID, what is the current county policy for COVID? If one of you, or one of them, or anybody in this building, Phil, catches COVID, what is the county policy for that right now? If you have a positive test for COVID with symptoms, let's go even one step further. What's the policy today? Because it's changed over time from 2.5 years ago to now. What is the current policy? I don't know what it is, honestly. Do you receive COVID pay? Does she get to go home and get paid for 5 days or 10 days?
No,
Still
she
go
doesn't.
home?
No.
So if you never were, nobody in this building was paid to sit home through COVID? That's a lie.
We know people personally.
I have the original policy from COVID. Everybody got paid.
It was taped on the warden.
It was taped on our windows. We had it.
No, if you were able to continue your job from home, you were allowed to do that.
Okay, there's the answer though.
No, but.
So
if
nobody
you-
in this building was paid COVID sick time if they contracted COVID and
They
got
have
to sit
to
home.
use sick time or benefit.
That's not true. I have the policy. The sheriff sat home and got paid because of the Heart and Lung Act. That's a fact. That's a
The
whole.
sheriff is
separate thing.
a elected official.
But he got paid.
He's an
So
elected
the
official.
deputies.
Deputies
The
got
deputies
paid.
as well.
I have the original policy. Why are you guys sitting here lying?
We worked
I have
with
the
these
original
deputies
policy
before.
that says who was excluded. It was children and youth. It was us. It was the deputy wardens. It was initially the sheriffs until the county realized they have to pay them under Heart and Lung Act. I have the policy. Those were the only people who were excluded from the Family First Coronavirus Relief Act. The only ones. The policy that we have from you guys specifically says they got to sit home and get paid for 10 days if you tested positive with symptoms. It's specifically in the policy. Why would you say no? That's insane that you will sit here and say that when it's in your writing. Why are we putting prisoners at risk to expose them to COVID so they can die? They're members of our community. I have to work that unit that has COVID on it. Why, to this day, if I work that unit that has COVID on it, and you guys get to sit home, the judges sit home and don't see these people because they're scared of COVID, I have to wrestle around with somebody who has COVID. And if I catch COVID, I don't get paid. So I'm going to work and I'm exposing people to COVID. You have millions and millions of dollars COVID money. I can't get 5 days COVID pay to keep the prisoners safe from COVID. We had people die that were in the jail that had COVID, but the county conveniently, as soon as they hit the hospital, ended up on a respirator. District attorney drops the charges. They're not ours no more. Now they died. Wasn't an inmate who died. It was a member of the public who died. But they got COVID in the jail because I have to go to work if I have COVID because I can't just get paid.
We
And
have
you're
a-
going to sit here and tell me that nobody got paid COVID time in the policy? It's a bold-faced lie.
Excuse me, we have a medical unit. If somebody's sick, they could go to the medical unit. My question is, why would they choose not to put the COVID on that medical unit? Medical unit is empty right now
But they have to man it.
because they got a mandate. I'd rather man it than we infect other inmates that could bring it to other units. Just yesterday, I personally moved inmates from that unit, which that unit should not be moved. You got COVID, everybody's staying put. I moved them to other units. This is how it spreads. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. And this is what they do. We have a medical unit. We had 2 COVID positive. They could have been put on that medical unit. They was not. Now, as of last night, when I spoke to some of the officers, we're probably up to 10. And keep in mind, some of those inmates was moved from male intake to Echo, from male intake to Charlie, from male intake to Delta. You see what I mean? This is how it spreads.
We had
And
2
it's-
patients yesterday.
Yes.
There was 2 active confirmed.
Yes.
2 that they told you about.
Yeah, it's more now. But those 2 should have been on the medical unit. We got 3 cells in that medical unit. And I'm sure these officers confirm that with me. And those inmates should have been on that unit. They didn't put them on that unit because they have to man that post. It is what it is.
But
If
they
we have
can't
some,
because they have 6 free transports going out with 6 officers at one time shorting us. It's
now if somebody get COVID real bad, they're gonna go to the hospital and we're gonna still have to man that hospital. So let's just nip it in the butt and man that post. That's all I'm saying. You guys don't know that. They could have put those 2 in there, keep them contained until they become negative. But no, they put on a unit with 53 plus inmates. And then you want to tell us, move some of these inmates to Delta unit, move them to Alpha unit, Echo unit. This is how it spreads.
Boils down to this prison is being completely mismanaged. It's being completely run.
Yeah, he's not telling
it's being
you
run into the
everything.
ground. It's being completely mismanaged, and it's not a difference of opinion between me and the warden or the deputy warden or a couple of us. The prison is mismanaged, and you guys oversee this prison. Like I've said before, enough is enough. Things need to change. It is not acceptable. It needs to be run properly. Our safety needs to be ensured. The inmates' safety needs to be ensured. Their care, custody, control is our legal obligation. We're not ensuring that. There's weapons in the jail. When one of them gets it in their neck, you guys are being sued personally because it is negligence on your part to not ensure that Gary Heidel is doing his job. Pick up the phone and call him and tell him to do his damn
It's
job.
definitely more than two with COVID in that building. And it's rising.
Not only that, if I understand correctly, that unit that we're talking about, medical housing unit, was retrofitted at some point with special ventilation. Am I not correct, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just for that purpose.
And it's empty
And
right
it's
now.
empty. You guys spent county money to retrofit that with a special ventilation unit
And it's
to
empty.
facilitate the air in that place, and now it's an empty unit with COVID cases.
It's J Unit. It's the name
Yeah,
of
we're
it.
speaking about the medical unit.
It has its own air system.
And it's empty. The COVID people are not there. They're on a unit with 50-something people.
And bottom line on top of that, we're facing all these conditions for 2.5 years. We're taking on working 6 doubles, 7 doubles, 8 doubles in a pay period outside our contract. We're doing all the stuff extra. We took on all the court work because the court shut down, didn't want to be exposed to COVID. There is still to this day, 2 years later, not a policy on how court works in the jail. It's a jail. We have SOPs for everything. We have policies for everything. There has to be a standardized way that things operate in the prison, which keeps the prison functioning safely because everybody knows the way they run. 2 years later, we're still doing all these extra jobs. Haven't gotten a raise in 2 years, no bonus offered, not even a pin, not a thank you, not a pizza party, not a you're welcome, not a handshake from one of you guys coming in.
How about a popsicle?
Yeah, we got purple popsicles during Great Popsicle Week. It was like a county pop, freaking fantastic. While you guys sit home and work from home and you have COVID. You understand how much of a disgrace that was to make that joke in my face? You understand how much of a disgrace that was? It's disgusting. Your opinion on this is disgusting. It's flat out disgusting that you even joke like that. Because people are losing their relationships and lives and families.
do something.
And you make a joke about purple
Make
popsicles?
a joke about it.
It's
because
disgusting. Because you can joke about it because you're not doing what we're doing. You're not being subjected to what we're being subjected to. And you
Check
can joke about
Northampton,
it.
check
Yeah, it's coming
Lehigh.
out my ass.
They have incentives for officers that don't call out in a week. They do have incentives for us, for those officers. And it can alleviate the problem. If you got officers that won't call out for a week, they get extra $200. I'm gonna keep it real. At Lehigh County. Yeah, which is $800 a week. I mean, sometimes you gotta call out, but less people will call out. But we calling out because we burnt out, because we like 22 officers down, not counting the officers that's out on injuries.
Yeah, it's like 12.
You know, all we can do is like try to bring it to you guys and y'all try to rectify the problem. We're not trying to start no fight with you guys. We want your help. And like I said, every day from day one when we started was 2 officers that came in here. Next day was 4 officers. It went up to 7 officers. We got 20 officers today. And I promise you it will be 40 tomorrow, the next time when it comes. 40 of them. We want to get it rectified. We're not trying to fill this room up. We want you guys to be able to go on with your other procedures in Monroe County. But everybody here is tired and drained out. Look at them. Everybody's tired and drained out.
Plus the safety of the building and the cameras don't work appropriately. We don't have cameras on the gates. We don't have cameras in certain units. It is not working. I kind of trapped you guys 2 weeks ago in the Delta Heliport. All of you were in there on inspection day. I made sure that I said it out loud about the cameras not working. It's still not working. It's not working. I work F unit. I have no camera downstairs in G, no camera upstairs in H. They're telling me the reason behind that is that they're not compatible. They're not
supported by.
How is that possible? They all have the same cameras. We have the same cameras throughout the whole facility. How are they compatible on one unit, but they're not compatible on another unit when you don't have eyes? Sometimes I'm on F unit by myself, where my partner's getting pulled up to do a transport or something else, and I'm manning 3 separate units, and it's crazy. The amount of movement and activity, not to mention mental illness and all the inmates and their behaviors. You have programs going, lawyers going, doctor appointments going.
Courts
It
going.
is
And on top of it, court, yes.
I know.
Yeah. And the court,
No, you cannot see
Nothing-
it whatsoever.
nothing
Not at all.
happened yet with the court, but here, well, at the courthouse, they have 2 officers in there. There's not 2 officers in there. It's just a lieutenant in there. It may not be today or tomorrow, but something will transpire with those inmates because mistakes happen. You could bring somebody's Cody that's snitching on them.
Right,
And-
that happened today, there was rovers called to the court today.
Yeah,
As we sat here. I got the phone call as we sat here.
And that's because they're not being transferred back here for court no more. We have to man that down, so we got extra duty and we got more jobs going on with less pay.
Less people. It's kind of painful to have these discussions. It's really unpleasant, but a couple of weeks ago, I had an opportunity to sit down with Warden Heidel, one-on-one, as we were talking about some business stuff. And I asked him, I said, Warden Heidel, how long do you see yourself being here? And, we made some jokes about his, wife says he has to keep working, whatever. But at the end of the day, he told me, as long as I'm fiscally responsible and I keep my numbers in order, barring everything else, they're going to keep me. So, if that's what's coming past your desk, the numbers are in order, so we're good. You're saving the taxpayers money. That's great. I think we need to lift the rug a little bit. I really think we need to look into this because, again, we have better things to do, and we certainly know you guys have better things. So if you guys could look into a little bit more, again, the money's here in the county. Where it's going is important to know. How it's being spent. Just listen to the body here. It's broken.
Thank you.
To touch up a little bit on what Officer Ball said and kind of reiterate what I mentioned
And
in
then
the
we're
previous
gonna move on.
meeting.
Okay, we'll let you finish.
All we're asking with all this myriad of issues that we have, we're just asking to be heard. We are being ignored every meeting. All we want is to be heard.
That's some action.
When I asked about the pins, I was told that some guys don't want the pins because it's considered a weapon.
That's 100%.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
Yeah, you guys are getting-
I want the problem. Then if
That's
there's,
what we're telling you.
You're eating a shark.
Talk, let him talk, please, let him talk. Go ahead, Mr. Christie.
no, I'm just saying, I asked about the pins. Okay? Now,
How about a follow-up? Were they issued?
That's what I'm saying. So
no,
why
they weren't issued
email
because they
about
said
pins?
half the people want the pins, half the people don't want the pins.
Mr. Christie, this gentleman right here is one of the people who actually participated that day.
I understand.
He was forced to do overtime the very next shift. You would think you would say, you go home, get your head together, go home. He was not told to go home. And he was,
mandated.
he definitely wouldn't have mind some type of recognition.
Okay.
That's
fine.
ludicrous.
And on the pins, 3 years ago, what the discussion we're talking about, I sat in the safety committee meeting. I was told it was foolish that I asked when we get awarded pins that we get safety backings on. That was the only thing, and that turned into, we don't want the pins because it's a weapon. So that's a boldface untruth. Let's call it that, because I sat in the safety committee meeting when it was discussed, and that's what they're citing.
Okay.
And there's no communication. Like, Idle says the way to work through this in writing is openness and communication. We're here week after week bringing these issues to you guys. Where's the communication? Where's the feedback? Where's the answers? Where's the, hey, I sent you guys an email about these pins. You're saying you had a conversation with the warden about these pins. You can't shoot me an email and reference this and say, hey, Mr. Kubik, I looked into the pins. I spoke to Warden Heidel. This is what I was informed. He's telling me the pins are a safety issue and some people want them, some people don't.
He's keeping.
I
it
would have said,
dark.
hey, thank you, Commissioner Christie, for getting back to me. Here is what the inside scoop is. We would love to have the pins.
I think that there can be another way of doing it too, so.
But what I'm saying,
No,
what
it
I'm
can't.
addressing now is there's no communication, there's no feedback.
You're right. It could be another way.
Right.
But it's not, we're not seeing another way as of yet. That's why you have 20 officers here.
And when we discuss in a meet and discuss, and the warden and deputy warden walk out of the meet and discuss and say, this meeting's over, what is our recourse? It's to come to you for answers to these problems.
Yeah, y'all gotta hear it, but they could get up and walk out. That's not fair. Y'all his boss.
When he got up and walked out, he was called a murderer.
No, he was not.
That's a lie.
These people were
I was
sitting
there.
there.
I wish you had a video.
That's a
with it.
lie.
Because you guys are coming up with nonsense. Ask the people who sat in that meeting discussed. I didn't raise my voice like this. I didn't do nothing. We were literally asking him, what's the resolution to these safety issues? He said, well, we talked about it, it's gonna be 2 weeks. And I said, 2 weeks is not enough, we've been doing it for 2 years. That's all that was said. And he stood up and said, you know what? I'm not gonna stand here and deal
That's
with
the
this.
truth, sir.
This meeting is over, I'm out. We haven't had a meeting discussed in 2 months since then. We're supposed to have one every month. Nobody called him a murderer. Nobody attacked that man. I'm attacking you guys verbally more than I have ever done to the warden. And he's the one who deserves it. And you guys get this nonsense. You guys get told this nonsense. And I don't want to see this guy fired, but he gets to keep his job, even though he's lying to you and he's failing in his professional duty. And he gets above a 3% raise. And we're doing all these extra duties. And I can't get a raise. I can't get a bonus because we're in a collective bargaining agreement that's been expired for 2 years. You guys could willingly offer a bonus. Just say, hey, here's $1,000 for everything you've done for 2 years. Screw the money at this point. I want my safe. Yes, you can, 100%, because Northampton did it, Lehigh did it, Harvard did it, Pike did it. They all did it. They offered a bonus.
Not in this setting, I'm sorry. But,
Still, aside from the money, it's the safety. The safety
Okay.
is the issue. And then you guys get
I
this
understand,
nonsense
but
about
not in
he
this
walks
setting.
out because he's called names or we don't want pins. You guys are getting lied to. How about if communication is the key, like you guys say, he says, communicate. There's no follow-up emails. You guys come every week for inspection, unless you skip a week. You never speak to us. You never walk down the hallway. Hey, Officer Abbatello, thank you for doing what you do today, bud. That's all you gotta do. Hey, thanks for doing a good job today, bud. Thank you. Hey, Officer Diaz, great job, bud. Thank you for coming to work. We can't even get looked at. We can't get a handshake. There's no communication. Because I tell you now, we'll come 2 weeks from now. There'll be 40 of us here, and it's gonna be the exact same way. You guys are gonna have no answers. You're not gonna have any resolutions. There's gonna be no policies written. There's gonna be nothing.
And everyone from your jail is gonna be coming through Ramsey,
Exactly.
so that's what they do.
And on inspection day, when they don't want you to see something, you bypass the unit so that you don't have to.
Yeah, you guys
And
get the
I
problem.
apologize for the passion that these people are showing. It's not unprofessionalism, it's passion, because this is all of our lives, for God's sake. This is what we do day in, day out. 40, 80, 40, 50 hours every 2 weeks of overtime. We're exhausted. We're not seeing our families. Our lives are at risk. Our lives are on the line, and our lives are being destroyed at home. So that's why this passion is what it is, because all of these people are under this stress, and it's got to stop.
It can only be ignored for so long.
I'll disagree with Officer Hero, and I hate disagreeing with my fellow officers. He keeps saying, we just want to be heard. That's not what we want. We don't want to be heard. We've been heard for 2 years. We've been writing emails. We've been talking to the news for 2 years. We've been heard for 2 years, but you guys aren't listening. That's the problem.
Come on.
I want to respond.
Everything we're saying is being fallen upon deaf ears.
May I speak without being interrupted?
Are you making
I
It's
did
gonna
not,
be a disrespectful joke. You kick everybody in the face, because nobody wants to hear that stuff.
I was kicking myself in the face with that joke
That
because
definitely didn't come across that way, all 20 of us, I'll tell you that.
Go ahead, Mr.
we were told, and it was a great idea to bring popsicles around on Popsicle Day. I personally said, fully SHIT, you want me to take popsicles out to the correctional facility as a reward for what those guys have done? Isn't that a bit of a kick in the face? And the decision was made, yeah, you ought to do it.
Yeah.
So imagine how much fun it was to take the popsicles out. It was not a slap at, here's a popsicle instead of
I
$1,000.
appreciate you acknowledging that publicly.
Well,
Thank
I
you.
mean, that's important.
Now we're gonna get the right response.
2 popsicles.
Well, if I
No.
can ask, if you personally, you guys are commissioners, you run the county, if you personally sat back and said, wow, this is a terrible idea, this is gonna be a kick in the face, I really shouldn't do this. Number one, you didn't come and give us the popsicles, they were delivered to the jail, and they were stuffed in a freezer in plastic bags, and we were told, hey, everybody go grab your popsicle. If you felt it was a terrible idea to deliver us popsicles because it was gonna be a kick in the face, why didn't you sit back and come up with a better idea? You still chose to go through with that idea. I don't care if it was Heidel.
I wasn't finished.
But you still did it though. You said it was a terrible idea, but you still chose to do it. I'm tired of hearing nonsense, man. It's
I can only say that since Mr. Kubik started coming, which I think was 4 meetings ago, possibly 5, we are 6 corrections officers higher in count now than we were at that point.
What's 12 out hurt?
They don't know
What
they're
did you
doing.
compromise?
2 weeks of training isn't enough. But
Yeah, nothing to do.
How is taking the jail more dangerous?
I can attest to
That's
that.
what's being
No,
done.
I understand what you're
We're
saying.
6 people up, which isn't
We're
anywhere
12
close to
down
being.
for injuries. How is the
Yeah, we
math?
got-
These new hires that we have, they don't know what they're doing. I've walked around breaking other units with these new hires. They don't know what they're doing. I've had to fix all of their mistakes. A lot of them are safety issues.
And
They
it's not
don't know how to run a unit.
And I call, that's one I call time out. Oh, can we get back to the popsicles? Like,
Yeah.
no, I'm being serious though. It sounds like a joke. I'm being serious. This is how we never get anything done. Because we hit one topic and then what you just did, you jumped right to another topic and we never finished it. You went from popsicles and you personally said that your feeling was this is bullshit and it's gonna be a kick in their face. That's what you said. Just said it. So I'm asking, why did you choose to still go through with that if you felt it was so bad? Why wasn't a motion made at a prison board meeting or a commission meeting like, hey,
No,
these guys
no, we
deserve
did it
a lot more.
countywide.
We did it
We did
countywide.
it to every,
I
so if
totally
we
get
didn't do it to the jail, we'd say we did everything with
No,
the jail.
that's not, if you would have came to us and said, hey, we're gonna do county popsicles for everybody, but you guys have done more than every other county employee for the last 2 years, we want to do something a little extra. Here's a pizza party, here's Subway hoagies, here's a $20 gift card to Amazon, here's a movie ticket. I'm literally speaking off the cuff.
Hey, how
If
about
you
the salad bar
personally-
that's not wilted?
If you personally felt it was a bad idea, why wasn't something else done for us? Because you didn't answer that, you skipped right to something else. So I would like to know why something else wasn't
The
done.
reason it was done was that we thought that it was important to show that the corrections officers are part of the county.
But if it was a.
We're
kick in the
darned if we
face-
do and darned if we don't. If we said that's not enough for the people at the correctional facility would have said, what are we, chopped liver? We didn't even get a popsicle.
Sir, we've been chopped liver for 2 years.
Yes.
And you come up
We
with
still didn't
something.
answer the subject.
They don't even give us.
Why wasn't something else done? You still didn't answer the question of, if you felt the popsicle was a kick in the face,
When officers
why
caught
wasn't something
COVID,
else
when
done?
officers caught COVID, after the COVID, they came back to work. Some of them ran out of sick time, benefit time. And got sick again and had to go back out. So believe me, it was tough on a lot of people here that caught COVID 2 and 3 times. And then to lose your benefit time, and then when you have no time and you had to just call out without pay, we came in and got a write-up. I mean, there's a lot of things going on that you guys are probably left in the dark about, but on top of us using our vacation time for COVID, then we can't go away with our family during the holidays or whatever. We don't have time to put in. So if we took off 2 days, next time days off, we got reprimanded. And that's a shame. 2 years we went through this. No satisfaction. When COVID first hit that building, that woman did not step in that building. We ran it. The officers that been here, I got 18 years. We got officers that ran it, and they didn't give us a blueprint. Whether they told you they did or not, we made that facility right. And we did a damn good job compared to Northampton and all of them that's on 22-2 right now. We want some recognition. We want pay. You know, it's like you keep cracking the whip and we're not getting nothing for it, but still required to come in and perform these duties. That's all we ask.
And we would like action on Ramsey. Think about all the numbers you just got from these prison guards that are going to this school. And if something isn't done about it, you're going to see all of Stroudsburg sitting here the next meeting.
We have another meeting at 11 o'clock.
All right. I just want to, before I leave, I want to say there's a lot of passion, obviously, in this room, right? But I'm reading your faces as you're hearing these things. And what I'm reading is shock. Like you're hearing and seeing something for the first time. We're asking for it. Please, go look into it and please fix it. Thank you. Thank you.
Residents of Thomas Street, we're new residents, and we support the mayor. Okay. Thanks for that.